Hello and welcome. Some 65,339 passengers are believed to have flown on Indian Airlines on the 11th of June. This reflected some 697 departures, 1,396 movements, according to the Minister of Civil Aviation. Now, the point is that the number of flights are increasing, the number of passengers are also increasing, most likely because they have to get somewhere which they couldn't much earlier and have been waiting all this while. However, the rising number of cases of coronavirus and different administrative responses across the country is also causing a lot of confusion in the minds of passengers, as each station or airport has different rules because the states in which those airports are have different rules. And in many cases in the same states, different airports may have different rules. So if you land in Delhi, for instance, you have to go in for an institutional quarantine of 7 days and you also have to have a home quarantine of 7 days. You also have to have a Arogya Setu app. That's what the guideline says as of now. And the airports and states have certain obligations in terms of screening and so on. Now, in some other places, this is different. If you go to Haryana, then you have to also provide email addresses and the passenger manifests have to be given to the state health authority, and so on and so forth. So if you are traveling from one place to the other, it's easy to get out, but it's not easy to arrive in the other destination. So the first question is, how is this going to play out, and what can passengers do to be better aware before they make that journey? The second question is, given how things are, how should passengers and potential travelers be even looking at the prospect of travel in coming days and weeks? And what can we learn or take away from these 18 days that we've seen flights crisscrossing the Indian skies, not as many as normal. So to discuss that, I'm joined by two guests. The first is Jyoti Mayal, President of the Travel Agents Association of India, and I'm also joined by Sudhakara Reddy, Founder President of the Air Passenger Association of India. Mr. Reddy joins me from Chennai, and Ms. Mayal joins me from Delhi. Thank you both for joining me. Ms. Mayal, let me go with you first. So everyone understands that the travel industry is facing perhaps its most difficult time yet. But what are you seeing with the lockdown lifting? Are there any early signs?
Sorry, your voice was cracking in between. I couldn't hear your last part. Could you just repeat your question, please?
Yeah. So my question is, with the lockdown lifting, are you seeing any early signs of revival or any early interest?
No, not really. I think whoever is traveling right now is traveling out of compulsion. They have no option but to travel, and they are like the migrants who are moving back to the cities. It's the same way people are going back home. Or it's very, very essential travel. Of course, if I have a calamity, I need to travel, And that's what the guidelines of the government also says. The government guidelines very categorically says a person above 75, 65 should not travel unless there's someone has died in the family, and the children should not be traveling unless there's essential travel. So with all these practices in place and the government directive, I think people are anyway reluctant to travel. But yes, like you said, people who have to travel. So all the passengers who've been stuck have been away from their homes or from their families, and or been just staying somewhere, had come for a holiday. So they've been stuck all this time. So the sentiments of a traveler as a traveler is very low. The motivation is not there, and we are scared seeing the numbers and the spikes that are happening every day and every moment actually. And of course, with this, every state having their own rules and regulations is another very challenging thing, especially when the flight started. I think they started on a very bad note, because many flights got cancelled also. So, and people lost a lot of money, because as we are aware that the airlines are not giving credit and cash refunds, so they are going into the shells, and the shells were again being utilized. So to say it in the broader sense, no, the passenger is not very motivated to travel. But if he has no option and he has to, that's the only reason we are getting out of the house. If there is no option. And people who are even going to job these days are only scared of losing their jobs. And that's the reason they're still reporting, even if they don't have to report. So with that scare in mind, I don't think the travel has really come back. It's just the need, and it's on a need basis. And that's why the travel is happening.
Right. So the other question was, of course, that, so the lifting of the lockdown in itself has not, is only, encouraged people to do what they would have done in any case, which is to go back home or get back to wherever they wanted.
Yes, of course. That is the only reason we have to travel, and we are traveling. I think there will be a lull after everyone reaches back home or to the safe places. There will be lull in the business unless something happens, and again to spike the motivation of the traveler.
Right. Okay. Mr. Reddy, so what is the takeaways, or what are the takeaways from all the traffic that we've seen in the last 18 days? And I'll come to the question of who or how should passengers be more aware of their roles or their responsibilities as they travel?
You see, the passenger must go through a website of an airline before he even books a ticket. That's the most important thing, because in Indigo website, they are very clearly defined the quarantine regulations of each state. As you rightly said, in Tamil Nadu, if you take quarantine regulations, if you land in Chennai, are different from if you land in Coimbatore, for example. So one has to be very, very careful, study the whole thing, and then only decide whether they have to travel or not. Otherwise, they're going to end up wasting their journey by getting into an institutional quarantine, which is not what was intended for. The travel was intended for a purpose. So it is important that every passenger knows what he is going to encounter when he travels from A to B.
Right. And what are the lessons from the last 18 days? We spoke about a couple of days, actually the day after the services were resumed, and there was a lot of chaos. Flights were cancelled, and flights were cancelled because there was no load. And obviously people were struggling with the whole process of entering the airport and boarding the flight and so on. So, and have those things changed in 18 days? Have things become more seamless?
Yeah, most of them have been reasonably sorted out, because the airports have experienced, the airlines have experienced in these 2 weeks and all. And however, the sad thing is, like my earlier speaker was saying, the load factors are so low, and the flights to destinations. For example, I'm told Mumbai to Varanasi. If you looking for a flight, the air travel costs 41,000 rupees. That is because there is no direct flight to Varanasi from Mumbai. And these are certain things that the Ministry of Civil Aviation has to look into and find out how do they resolve. There is no point in saying that we fix a minimum and maximum fare. Are they really monitoring this minimum and maximum fare? Is there any mechanism by which the Ministry of Civil Aviation the control? So one has to look at all this, and I think as far as the SOPs are concerned, most of it has fallen in line, and that is smooth. The feedback so far has been good. Nobody has.
Right. So, Ms. Mayal, I'm sure you're, as an association, also talking to airlines all the time. And what are they saying about refunds? What are they saying about, how do you give passengers a way out of, bookings that were made or flights that were cancelled?
Well, that's a very tough question for me, because that's the biggest challenge we are facing with the industry and the Ministry of Aviation. As a matter of fact, an association had moved to the court also, where the Supreme Court has given a judgment today, and they've again asked MOCA to come back with a way to come out with a solution, which I don't know. We've been following up with the MOCA, DGCA, everyone, and that ease is just not settling in. Somehow the link between the industry, the Ministry of Aviation, as a industry, the link is not there. It's not a very strong link. That's what I've noticed is the time I've taken over as the president, that the industry, they look at more from the point of the value of aviation, means only the aircrafts and not the travel agents as such, not realizing that the money that gets stuck is from the agents' fraternity and not the airlines. The airlines are the one who are holding on to the money, which actually belongs to the consumer or to the agent. Because it's in our country, there's a huge, credit in place. Because even if you are traveling, you still owe me money. So the credit actually is mine, which is lying with the airline.
Right.
So basically, we become the financiers of the airlines. And that's something we've been requesting the Ministry of Aviation since the lockdown. And they have intervened. Some airlines have started retracting their earlier credit shells and cash crunches, and they're coming into giving us the refunds. But most of the airlines are still not into that practice. And that is something we are looking for very, very much in, on a least level that we should happen. And, so that our members get more and more ease of doing business. And we can, because there's a huge cash crunch in the entire market. And that's the only way we can survive. I mean, that is all I can talk about.
So how was this, Ms. Mehal, what was the situation earlier and how is it today? I mean, essentially, if I understood it right, airlines are doing the same thing that they were doing earlier. When you made a booking or you tried to cancel a booking, domestic or for that matter, even international, they would hold on to the fare and or ask you to push it to another date.
Are you talking about before the lockdown? Are you saying that before the...
Are these practices the same as they were before lockdown, or is there a change?
No, they are not. They are not. Before the lockdown, we had a system where we have a bank settlement plan with IATA, where it's very easy to put in a refund and get the money. Of course, the cancellation charges do apply, and we are okay with it because we've got a contract with our client that there is a cancellation policy to it. So we were getting our refunds, and we've been getting our refunds. I mean, we've not had any issue. It's because of the lockdown, the flights being cancelled, and some of them, even before the flights started getting cancelled, the sentiments became very low. A lot of visas were cancelled from certain countries also, not only domestic, but certain countries who already were suffering from coronavirus. So there was an advisory from the government not to travel to Japan initially. So even if your visas got cancelled, the flights were still operating, some of them. So that's the time we started struggling with all the refunds. So that is what has come after the lockdown. And somehow there is no ease and there's no clarity from the ministry, which should have been there to see that these challenging times would have been more streamlined and everyone would have been in a comfortable position. That's what it is now.
Right. So, Mr. Reddy, so, one of the clamors, I mean, the last time I spoke to you and, when I could see in terms of responses from people, most people, passengers or potential passengers want to know about international travel. And I know that is a question that has to be answered differently. But what is the kind of demand that you're seeing and, how urgently should we be looking at this situation?
See, international travel through scheduled flights, I don't think it will happen in the immediate future. But however, one interesting development in the last few days is after a lot of persuasion, the minister has allowed private airlines like Indigo to travel to Middle East, which was a very dire need because a lot of passengers were stuck here and they were stuck there also who had lost jobs there, who have jobs but who are unable to join back duty from here or families there. So they have started the flights and hopefully that will get resolved. We have a webinar on Tuesday where the minister also will be present. I have been given the responsibility to moderate the webinar and hopefully we will be able to find a solution on that day about international travel.
Right. Ms. Mehal, what is in terms of queries that you are getting, I know you said that most people are not even thinking of traveling, but if they do, if they are thinking of, what is the nature of queries that are coming your way?
So there are queries coming in, but they're not coming for the immediate future. They are mostly coming for September, maybe near Diwali time. And that's how we are getting the queries because people feel that, once more and more people travel and if it's a herd community traveling and maybe settles down and they still are seeing that, there's ease of travel. Though I think the travel itself, what I've learned from the people who've been traveling and who have traveled is very smooth. Once you enter the airport, till the time you don't get down at your destination, it's very smooth. The airlines got all the best practices in place. So it's very appreciable that they're looking into the sanitization and hygiene. But the members, like I said, the customer is not willing to travel right now. But I think I'm going to put this on, as a suggestion, which I've been doing very often on the news channels also, that I think we need to motivate are the custom client, because the customer, if they're opening up the country, you have to travel. You need to move out. You need to gain that strength to move out. And that's how businesses will survive. Otherwise, there was no need to open it. We could have just stayed locked down. So that we have to motivate them. We have to gain the confidence of our traveler. To do that, there are certain things which need to be put in place again by the ministry. One, of course, we are seeing, which we are as an association, TIE does that very often. We are actually putting the videos and all the press releases on our Facebook, our social media for the airlines to tell the consumer that, he's very safe while he's traveling. But secondly, another thing which I think would be a great help if the ministry could intervene, that again, there should be no cancellation policies, even if I change my plans or if I do not want to travel. Seeing the sentiments, you have to build that up. And to build that up, I don't want my money to be stuck and again going into a credit shell. So I have been recommending to the government saying that there should be no cancellation policy till the time there's a vaccine out or everything becomes smooth. Because I wouldn't want to make a booking and then cancel and then block my money. And we would want that. Secondly, another thing which we have been seeing is that these flights that have started from Air India and other airlines joining, because one day Bharat started immediately, and then of course we have other airlines, international airlines joining for charters, which are going for basically for the expats going back to the countries or for different countries. I wish they had opened it to the travel agents. Travel agents have worked very closely with the airlines throughout our lives, and I think we are the ones responsible to fill the bellies and the seats of the aircraft. And I think this is a time the agents also needed to be motivated that there is work for them, there is some business for them, and these flights should have opened to all our members so that they could do the ticketing for their clients, whoever wanted to go back. But this monopoly of the airlines taking it directly to their own network and on their own websites, I think is very unfair for the industry.
Okay, fair point. Mr. Reddy, last question. What should a passenger be doing before she or he travels today? What are the 2 or 3 precautions or steps that they should be taking before they travel? We've already talked about while traveling, what they have to do.
Yeah, one, they should travel as light as possible. And there are certain issues, for example, under this Vande Bharat mission, when you land in Delhi, which most of the flights from US and Canada are landing in Delhi, and if your ultimate destination is Bangalore or Hyderabad or Chennai, they are forcing you to undergo quarantine for 14 days, 7 days institutional and 7 days home quarantine in Delhi, which is not practical and possible. And then you take your flight to the ultimate destination. There again, you have to undergo quarantine. See, these are all factors which are, making.
So are you saying that it'll end up becoming 28 days if I were to just pass through Delhi?
Exactly. So we have taken up that with the ministry yesterday, because there are 4 flights scheduled to come from US and Canada on 1st of July. And there will be more than 1,400 passengers. These are all 777s. And they're all chock-a-block. So if many of them are, bound to southern cities. So if they have to undergo double quarantine, I mean, it's unfair on the part of the ministry. So we have requested the Ministry of Health also to, find a solution for this.
Right.
And that
but for passengers, you're saying, okay, so therefore be very, very sure about what you will encounter when you land or where you land.
Exactly. Within India or outside, you should know your regulations, quarantine regulations.
Right. We've run out of time. Thank you both for joining me. I do hope things recover and recover or at least become easier and smoother. And I hope for the travel agents, we do see some resumption of activity and people start showing interest, even if it's a little later. Thank you so much for joining me.